Hey, it looks like the developers might have unintentionally revealed some buffs. Not only that, but the devs have also revealed the next daily buff. We'll have a quick chat about the current major order. Also, Arrowhead needs your help with the bug. And there's plenty more to discuss. Support the channel by hitting the like button below, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you stay updated with all the latest news. If you didn't catch it yesterday, the developers might have inadvertently revealed a list of buffs. Now I say inadvertently because to me it feels somewhat intentional, like a little sneak peek. I could be wrong, but that's my take, yet a lot of people believe Arrowhead didn't mean to do this, and I'd like to know your thoughts on it, but let's first see what happened, and then we'll dive into the details on what the buffs are actually going to be. As you all know, the developers have been revealing a buff each day, although yesterday was more of a nerf on the Automatons, which is a good thing. However, I didn't notice this when I was watching. A few of you commented below, telling me that Mr. Pillstead accidentally revealed some of the notes. For instance, about halfway through the clip here, you can see the boss flips the paper over, revealing a list of weapons that have been buffed or changed. After noticing this as well, I decided to enhance the video slightly by sharpening it, applying a black and white filter, and then adding a saturation effect as well. At this point, I could make out some of the text on the paper. The very first entry at the top appears to be the scythe, and the first line I could not make out what it says, but the second line to me looks like it mentions adjustments to VFX, which is visual effects of course. Following this, there are changes to the scope. The most noticeable one is the fourth line where it says removed recoil. And the last line, I don't know what it says, it's kind of hard to tell. Moving along, the second buff listed on the paper is for the crossbow. I wasn't expecting this weapon to receive a buff, but it looks like they've increased the explosion radius by 50% and the explosion damage from 150 to what appears to be 300. What stopped me from using this weapon specifically was its explosion radius. It wasn't that impressive, to be honest. On paper, right now, it looks like we'll see a big difference after the patch, and I'm definitely looking forward to using this. Next at number 3, we have the Eruptor. The shrapnel is now back, by the way, as it says, but the shrapnel will be smaller. This totally makes sense to me, considering that in the past it had quite a hefty radius, making it easy to team kill. Besides this buff, they're going to slightly nerf the Eruptor. Now, before anyone freaks out, we don't know how it's going to perform, but they've decreased the explosive damage from 300 something to 225. And even if it is like that, I'm still excited for it, even if the explosion is slightly reduced, because I believe the shrapnel will compensate for it. Number 4, the SMG Defender will also receive a change or two. I will say this one's a bit difficult to read, yet they've increased the damage from 70 to either 79 or maybe 74, at least that's what it looks like to me. The second change is for durable damage, which has been increased from 7 to 8. And you know, I like that they're improving the SMG, but hopefully we'll also see an update for the Night SMG. Not sure how many of you would like to see that weapon buffed, but I for sure would love to see it improved. The fifth buff is my favorite because it pertains to the assault rifle known as the Lib Pin, or better yet, the Liberator Penetrator. There's only one change for it, and they've increased the damage from 45 to 60, which is another great change. And I'll say the same thing here that I did with the SMG. It would be awesome if they adjusted some of the other assault rifle options, like maybe the Liberator Concussive. I like that weapon, but I feel the damage could also be increased, making it slightly more viable. Also, I know I'm not the only one hyped about the Lib Pin buff, but I want to know, is this enough, or should they have made more adjustments? Let me know. Coming in at number 6, the Vigilance. Arrowhead has increased the damage from around 120 to 160. The durable damage, on the other hand, has also been enhanced from 32 to 42. We might actually see the Vigilance being used more often, and it'll be interesting to see how this affects some of the medium-sized enemies, like the Brood Commanders, for example. Next up, the 7th buff is for the Counter Sniper. The devs have increased the damage from 140 to 200. The durable damage, just like the previous buff, has also been buffed. The Arrowhead devs changed it from 14 to 20. Not only that, but the stagger force has also been increased from 14, or maybe it's 15, to 20. Some great improvements here. I enjoy staggering enemies a lot, and this weapon with this increased stagger force is going to be fun to use. Now, unfortunately, regarding the next buff, which would be number 8, there isn't much I can tell what they've done due to the unclear text because it's kind of hard to see. However, I can see that there is mentions of a stun effect. Continuing along, the 9th buff is for the Torture. Thankfully, this has been improved as well, and they've reverted the flamethrower changes along with this. You can tell by the last sins where they mentioned patch 1.002, and I'm sure some of you could have guessed that one. Now that's not all, the developers also increased the damage by 30%, and lastly they've increased the AP. It's been changed from 2 to 4, though it might be a 3 instead of a 2, but the AP has certainly been increased to 4. I know quite a few were disappointed with this weapon when it was first released, but I thought it wasn't too bad aside from the flamethrower changes. And last but not least, the Peacemaker. This has been listed, however it's blocked off as you can see right here. Setting that aside, these are all the weapons we know so far that are going to be buffed in the next patch. I'd like to know your overall thoughts on the changes and what you're most excited about. Post a response below and I'll be keeping an eye out for it. The next topic I'd like to bring up is that someone on Reddit posted this exact article. Apparently there's a news gaming site that made this claim right here and said, Helldivers 2 locks new stratagems behind a paywall. The last time I checked, you don't even have to pay for it. In fact, you can grind it out and pick up a bunch of super credits in a day. Now, I choose to pay for it because I feel like I'm helping out the devs. But besides that, it's sort of exhausting when games in general like this receive a lot of hate for no reason. And it's not just about Helldivers. To be fair, I don't understand why there's a trend of wanting games to fail. I get it if you're against certain type of games like DEI for instance, but my goodness, when I was a kid, I was thrilled about game releases or even updates. Like when Halo Reach was announced back in 2010, I was at GameStop with my mom waiting for the midnight release. That's how excited I was. Nowadays, I'm not even sure what's happening. To be fair, someone could say, didn't you have some negative things to say about Helldivers? Absolutely, just like many of you, I wasn't happy about the changes, but I still had hope. Offered some constructive criticism, but I never once wanted the game to fail. I even mentioned in the same video that I'd like Helldivers 2 to continue doing great, so that the developers can continue to support their families and live well, and I still feel the same way about the game. Alright, setting that aside, the developers need your help with the specific bugs. Support team member B Vitamin has been posting a lot about 2 bugs. The first one occurs when you try to join a friend, which then disconnects you and sends you back to the destroyer. Right here, the support team member wrote, Hey Helldivers, regarding the current connectivity bug where you might not be able to join specific other friends, and if you do connect, they are removed from the lobby as you join. If you're affected by this bug, could you please send me a DM with your Steam ID and a brief description of what's happening? So there's a good chance it could be because of the social menu, however, the developers are trying to figure out what the main issue is. Continuing along, the second bug is only on the PlayStation 5. There's a bug where a good portion of the screen turns white. I've noticed a purple flickering before, but I've never seen a somewhat complete white screen. Now before I proceed and show the image, I want to give a quick warning to those who might have epilepsy. If you experience a bug like that at any point during the game, there's a way of resolving it temporarily by toggling the bloom or the blur settings off and on. Also be aware that the next image will be really bright, so feel free to skip ahead if necessary. Nonetheless, the support team member posted this image and wrote, Hey divers, if any of you have experienced a bug on PS5 where your graphics goes like this, can you reach out and send me a DM? Specifically, I want to find out what your visual settings are in the option menus. And FYI, there's a workaround by toggling bloom or blur on and off while we figure this one out. Well, if you have any clips or information that can help the devs out, head over to the official Helldivers 2 Discord and send B Vitamin a direct message. Now, if joining the Discord isn't an option for you, there's also Arrowhead's Zendesk, which will work just fine. On a completely different note, we have a new major order that we might need to avoid because we have the chance to pick up the orbital napalm barrage again. Right here, the briefing mentions this. While this remains our operational focus, a window of opportunity has once again arisen to augment our forces with the orbital napalm barrage. The automaton control plants, Tarsh and Mastia, both contain significant manufactories producing polystyrene foam, an important precursor to napalm. If both plants are liberated within the duration of this order, it will be possible to immediately deploy the orbital napalm barrage fleet-wide acquisition. For the love of democracy, can we please not complete the latest major order and instead pick up the napalm barrage stratagem instead? That would be great. All we have to do is liberate the 2 plants listed, and the stratagem is ours. I know I'm not the only one who thinks this stratagem is amazing, considering it's powerful against the Terminids, and I'd love to give it a go on the automaton plants to melt those suckers into some chrome bars. You know what I mean? So again, avoid the latest major order. It's not like you need 0 medals, right? Because that's what you're going to receive if you already have everything unlocked. Some might not agree, but hey, you should still disregard the exterminate side and go to the left side so we can get this sucker unlocked. Plus, we only have 2 days to complete the new MO, so, I mean, to be honest, it's a safe bet that we're going to fail it anyways. To me, this is just Joel playing mind games, so avoid the MO and head over to the Automaton side. Last but not least, we're going to check out the daily buff. This time it's the Eruptor. Now, as I mentioned in this video, they have decreased the explosion damage. However, they mentioned in this video that they're going to keep the explosion, but it will be decreased. Here's what Arrowhead had to say about it. Buff number 5, the Eruptor. Eruptor went through some big changes today. Shrapnel is back. We have replaced the original Shrapnel with a frag grenade Shrapnel to no longer instantly one-shot Helldivers, with the exception of an occasional unlucky headshot. The amount of shrapnel is also increased and explosion radius increased by 33%. Awesome, so it's officially back, even though we already knew from the patch notes. I'm excited to try this out on the Automatons. In the dev preview video, they demonstrated it on the Terminids, but not on the bots. So with that said, let's see how it performs. Here's the preview, and I'll catch you guys in a bit.
And I'm Niklas Manborg.
Today we're diving into the patch notes of Helldivers 2. Nobody asked for it, but we did it anyways. And that is the Eruptor.
Yes.
We brought the shrapnel back.
Yeah, we finally had time to do it properly. When it was introduced, it actually had the wrong shrapnel. It did over 9,000 in damage.
Yeah. It's over 9,000.
Now it won't do that much, but it still has a lot of shrapnel.
Did you remove the explosion?
No.
So it's explosion and shrapnel.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
So yeah, my opinion remains the same here. This looks freaking awesome and I have no complaints, and as I mentioned earlier in this video, we didn't even know how it would perform until now. It doesn't seem to have been nerfed at all, just a slight decrease in explosion damage. I'd love to hear how you feel about this change, so let me know how you feel about it down below in the comments. Okay, with that all being said, this is your Helldivers 2 news. If you guys would like to be featured in the next video, all you have to do is create a comment down below and you might just be featured at the end. The first comment is by One Dead Cat. Nearly 15 years ago, when World of Warcraft was at its peak, Blizzard made the same mistake of listening to a small bunch of sweaty elites who complained that the PvE experience was too easy, and everyone was getting good loot. Blizzard and a particularly arrogant game developer with a receding hairline decided to spike the difficulty curve in the very next expansion, and the player numbers quickly started to decline for the first time and never recovered after that. No kidding, I didn't know that about Blizzard specifically, but anyways, we got the second comment by the Lurker XYZ. Bro was fast with this, less than 30 minutes after the Devastator nerf. That comment specifically was yesterday's video on how fast it was, and this one's probably going to be just as fast. But the last comment is by High Ruler Diamond 6717. Honestly, one non-gameplay change that would be massive QOL change would be just to give the weapon info more stats, instead of overgeneralized 4 stats that lead to very poor first glance judgment. This right here is an excellent idea, and I would love to see that. Maybe some way they could show us how much durable damage each weapon has. Specific stats like that I would love to see, and I think that's a great idea. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, and make sure you stay tuned for the next video. And if you'd like to be featured in the next video, remember, all you have to do is comment down below. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one.